I know it's the final stretch here before the prandial bolus for lunch, so I'll try to be short. Would like to refer you to the forward-looking statements because Eyenovia is a pharmaceutical company which is publicly traded on the NASDAQ as of January this year. And Eyenovia is a company and technology we introduced last year at the OIS. It's a technology for smart delivery of ophthalmic pharmaceuticals to the eye. And it uses piezo print microdosing. So in a way, enabling us to deliver very precise microdoses. Based on that technology, we are able to enable a whole array of applications and products, and all of them driving towards a next generation of ophthalmic pharmaceuticals. Before I founded the company, and as a clinician, I had to ask myself, what is a next generation pharmaceutical for the eye, for the topical treatment? Why is the eyedropper not sufficient? And on my list, and my list sometimes is always picky and sometimes high bar, but on my list, I wanted, for example, to have maybe after now a decade of intravitreal injections, I wanted to have a topical treatment for a back of the eye disease. Why not? Then on my list was, how about a glaucoma treatment that doesn't cause a lot of hyperemia and that patients can actually take or are reminded so that we can enhance the 40% compliance rate that dilutes all of our efficacy. Then I thought about my eye exam. We do 80 million mydriasis or dilations for diabetics, for macular degeneration, for premies, 80 million times. And the most unnerving and discomforting part was the dilation eye exam, where we overdose patients, not with one, but with 2 drops on a consistent basis. And that hasn't really changed for the past 100 years. How about dry eye? What would I want from dry eye? A lot of the symptoms in dry eye come from the cornea, and we deliver every single topical treatment on the conjunctiva. How about delivering something directly to the ocular surface and coating the cornea, which is really where the most symptoms reside? So my answer to that and calling was in Eyenovia's technology, utilizing this high-precision piezo printing, which is a really revolutionary way of being able to leverage inkjet printer technology, the same technology that prints pixels on a paper, to really print the ocular therapeutics on a microdose level to the eye, eliminating 80% or more of the preservative and the drug that we constantly overdose. And in that way, Eyenovia has really worked hard with multiple phase 2 trials behind us now, and we're preparing to launch multiple phase 3 programs over the next 4 to 6 months. One of them is Micropene, which is for the progressive myopia. And again, that answers my call for a topical treatment for back of the eye problem. I think most people immediately think that myopia is the same thing as progressive myopia, but progressive myopia is not myopia. And that's stretching and elongation of the eyeball through the development stages that goes unchecked and leads to myopia plus other adverse events, such as retinal detachment, retinal atrophy. And that's a huge population, so we're very excited because we want to launch the phase 3 program early next year, maybe in the first quarter. And that's an addressable population of 5 million in the US alone, and we know the myopia epidemic in the rest of the world, particularly Asia. The second program is MicroProst. It's a microdose latanoprost, where we want to eliminate 80% of the preservative and 80% of the drug that gets into the ocular adnexa and causes things like periorbitopathy. Sometimes eyelashes maybe will not cause as much. I think the women may be upset a little bit. But again, we want to microdose something in a precise way so that we can achieve better tolerability and eliminate some of the side effects. And that is particularly important because chronic angle closure is something that has been ignored by a lot of the pharmaceutical companies. And again, something that hasn't been studied in very rigid and robust clinical trials for approval. So we're going to target the MicroPros program to really encompass not only open angle and ocular hypertension, but chronic angle closure, glaucoma. There are about 600,000 to 700,000 patients in the US with that pathology. And then microstat comes, where you're doing your office dilations 80 million times a year, and I think this would really hopefully streamline that process with a single co-formulation of phenylephrine and tropicamide. And we're planning to initiate that study later this year. And we're also planning to complete that entire phase 3 program, which will validate the entire platform in a phase 3 setting by the end of next quarter. And then microtears. We're very excited about that because it would really provide an ability to use artificial tears and lubrication by coating directly the ocular surface. Now, microdosing, I think today we live in a world where there is specific attention on overdosing. And we're fighting an epidemic for opioid overdosing. And it struck me that we ophthalmologists know a lot about overdosing because we've been doing it for about 150 years with the eyedropper. And many studies have shown through the years that as low as 3 microliters can actually give you the same efficacy as an eyedropper, which is between 30 and 50. So how can we do this? I think that piezo print technology enables us to deliver the microdose directly to the eye in a very, very small quantities, really bypassing. And this is the device which does the microdosing with 6 to 8 microliters. It does it in a horizontal delivery way. It's very precise. It coats the ocular surface, and it beats the blink reflex with about 80 milliseconds, which allows you to deliver it before you can blink. And it also happens to have smart electronics that connects through the mobile device and mobile phone to actually monitor compliance.
Sean,
so
last
to finish,
slide,
the last slide, I would just want to show the data that we demonstrated we can get this 90%, almost 90% of the time into the eye versus the eyedropper 40%. And that data will be published in the next couple of months. It's already accepted. And we're looking forward to leveraging this innovation on the device side towards enabling a lot of innovation and better products on the pharmaceutical side because it's ultimately the pharmaceuticals that will actually treat all these diseases. Thank you very much.